Hi John, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Very good, thank you for giving me this time for this interview. For me, it's really valuable that you are giving me this time because it's gonna to help me in my career project and also it's gonna to help me in my future. As I told you before, I wanna be a financial advisor and I know that you have a really good experience in this field and you have many years of experience. So I'm really grateful that you are giving me this time.
No problem. You're very welcome.
Okay, I want to ask you like what what is about your job? Like what do you do in as financial advisor?
I actually help people get on a plan if they don't have too much money, but typically working class to get on a plan with some discipline to create some kind of wealth, savings in the investment markets, which are the bonds, stocks, and alternative investments. I do a lot of real estate, commercial, industrial, but they are considered securities, so they're registered with the Securities and Exchange Commission. It's not your typical I'm going to buy a house and I'm able to walk in it whenever I want to. You're actually just buying shares in a bigger corporation. So I get an opportunity to sit with a lot of people who have money also, just don't know what to do with it. They either inherit it or they win a lawsuit. I've had some lottery winners in my portfolio, and they need guidance. It's unfortunate. People have no clue uh, the science behind money and how it can evaporate if you don't respect it. So it's important that people seek me out. It's also important that I seek out relationships with certified, you know, financial planners that don't necessarily do what I do, but work with the same market, people that need to invest. I also do business with a lot of companies that have a lot of cash and don't know what to do with it. So they park that with me, and I invest it. It's a fascinating market, and there's so many opportunities for growth, especially for someone your age in college with your background looking for a future in this industry.
Okay, awesome. How do you get the clients? Like how they come to you or how do you do that process?
Um, there's a lot of cold calling in my industry. That's changed over the years. There's some regulations now where there's a national do not call list that didn't exist when I first started in this, and unfortunately, they passed this law, so it made it a little more challenging. Challenging in the respect that you have to go through a program to make sure that the person's not on the list, and then you're free to call them. If not, as a broker dealer, we get sanctioned, we get fined, and it's something that you really don't want to experience. Here you are, you're trying to make a living, help someone out, you cold call them, and then you get a complaint.
Yeah.
That's the last thing you want. This is a very, very heavily regulated industry. So we have a lot of we have a lot of programs in place, a lot of compliance in place to make sure that we're doing the right thing at all times. We also have continuing education every year. We have uh, ethics classes that we have to take. We have to be up to date with new laws and regulations that come out that affect the industry. So, as far as how I get my clients, it used to be a lot of cold calling, but I've had the good fortune of retaining about 90% of my clientele over the years that I've built. I was at JP Morgan for about 5 years, and I happened to take my book of business with me. JP Morgan wasn't very happy about that because I pretty much decimated the neighborhood that I was in as far as taking the business from them. But my clients are adults and they wanted me and they sought me out and they came with me.
Nice, nice.
So, but that's how we do it. And then you network, you join a Rotary Club, you go to your kid's baseball game. You always have business cards on you when you're in this business, and you let everybody know what you do for a living. And you have to be an extrovert. You can't be an introvert in this business if you're going to be successful. If you're going to be an analyst and you're behind the scenes and you're not dealing with people and you're doing statistics and algorithms and everything that goes into market movements, you still need to be licensed in many of those functions,
Yeah.
but you're not going to be a salesperson. You're not going to be a financial advisor per se and be successful in a business.
So do you think that sale is an important thing that you have to do in this job?
It's the most
most
important
important?
thing.
Okay.
Absolutely. Um, the knowledge, when you have a good team, frankly, isn't that important initially. Because if you have a good team behind you, you just bring in the clients with your smile, with your personality, with that energy that you project, that it's honest. People believe in you. And not everybody knows everything. I don't know everything. That's why I have a great team behind me. If there's a question that I have a client or a prospect ask me that I don't know of, I'm never going to say, "Oh yeah, I know that." No, never. So, Mr. Jones, for example, I'll
Yeah.
get back to you, and they respect that, and that's how we pretty much they fall into our good graces, and we build a relationship, and we take it from there.
Okay. How do you work on team? Like, how do you work with your team, with your teamwork?
Well, as you see, I'm here in my home, and I do keep a satellite office in New York City, in Manhattan. However, I'm never there. My clients are 65 plus. That's just the market that I have. I do have some younger clients. Um, the question, going back to your question, what was your question? I'm sorry.
How do you work with your team? Like,
Oh, my team.
how
Yeah.
does it
So
work?
my
Like,
team. Yeah, that's why I'm here. You obviously see no one's here,
mhm.
but because I'm what they call the independent model in this industry, everything is a phone call away. Everything is an email away. Uh, by regulation, we have to have what we call the Office of Supervisory Jurisdiction. So I have a gentleman out in Rochester, New York,
Okay.
who oversees my activities. He comes to my office here at my home or in New York City, and they run an audit on all my top 10 or 20 clients, just to see that everything is in order. They have to make sure I'm up to date with my continuing education. If there are any complaints or controversies that should arise with my clients or prospects, even, um, they're addressed to him. And from there, he'll file a report or back and forth with the client or the prospect. And it's important that we have that. That's what keeps us all on our feet, honest. 'Cause unfortunately, there's been a lot of shenanigans in my business, going back to the what we call the boiler room culture in this industry. People just selling securities and stocks and bonds to people that actually
Mhm.
shouldn't have them.
Okay. Um, so you don't have a specialized in a customer. Like, you take everybody, like big companies or
I do. I take on companies. I take on individuals. I take on what we call high net worth individuals. I take on institutions, churches, um, Masonic clubs or lodges. But that's just because of the circles that I run in. I don't
okay.
necessarily go after them. They've just fallen into my practice because people know me, people network, people refer.
Mhm.
They like what I do. They've seen what I've done for their portfolio, and you get referrals that way. I haven't really cold called or prospect in some time, and I knock on wood for that because I'm fortunate. A lot of people just constantly, they're never home, they're never with the kids, they're never with
Yeah.
the wife, they're out, drinking their cocktails, doing their business, and it could be rough. I chose to be here. As you see, you're in my home. This is an
Yeah.
office in my home. I chose to be here because I have an 8-year-old daughter. I have a 14-year-old son.
Okay.
Um, I promised myself I would never miss any of their activities, and I participate in everything. If there's an
Yeah.
outing, if
That's
there's a
great.
communion, if there's a basketball practice for my daughter, if there's gymnastics, swimming for my son, I'm there. And you know, I started this practice here in my home about 4 years ago
Mm-hmm.
because my daughter at the time was 4, and I said, you know, when she's 3 or 4, I'll definitely make that move because the corporate model of J.P. Morgan, uh, I don't know how people do it with a family. I put my family before the money. Ironically, here I am, and I'm probably in the wealthiest industry that a person can work in, which is
Mm-hmm.
managing money. But that doesn't come first. My values are my family, my kids, and watching them grow. So, but you know, I get to put a roof over their head and make a living. When they get a little older, I'll probably go back to my younger ways and grow the business even more. But right
Yeah,
now, I'm pacing myself. You know,
that's
a
great.
person like you, and this is why you're here.
Yeah,
I gather you're single, you're young. The world is yours, so you go after it, and there's a way to do it, and you have the right team behind you. It's almost a stress-free environment in one of the most stressful environments because you're dealing with people's money. And but you know, if you pace yourself and you do it right, you can make a lot of money in this industry and make people happy, make yourself happy. It's actually very fulfilling. I love what I do. I don't have to do this. I could do anything else. I absolutely love what I do.
that's
And
good.
to me, it's not work. It's fun.
How many hours do you work per week?
If I were to tell you that I was on vacation for about 7 months last year,
Mm-hmm.
I would let you do the math on that. Um, my work is going out with clients, getting to know them. So a lot of people wouldn't consider that work.
So you can as well like the social.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
My
okay.
my my going to, let's say, California or Florida, um, to go see clients
Yeah.
is fun. I don't like it very much. Sometimes I have to do it though, and I say I don't like it because I'm not taking my wife and kids with me.
Mm.
I go by myself. So what I tend to do is I'll get on a flight to California and I'm back the next day. And on the body, that's grueling. But the reason I do that is because I can. I'm in and out. I take care of business and I come back. I have a lot of colleagues that are younger than I am, and some that are older that don't have to worry about little kids anymore, which is nice. They'll go out there for two
Yeah.
days on the client, and then they'll pay for 2 days. So we usually leave
Okay.
on a Wednesday, and we'll go to Napa Valley or we'll go to Laguna Beach, California, and that's nice. You know, to take your wife, to take your kids. But I'm all business. I'm there and back in less than 24 hours, which is
Oh wow.
it's grueling on the body, right?
Yeah.
And however, for a person your age, you're networking, you're getting to see the country, you're meeting the CFOs, chief financial officers, and chief executive officers of the companies that you're actually selling shares of to your clients. So you get to hobnob with a lot of very, very powerful people in this country that are in the industry that handle or manage billions of dollars. And once you're in that mix, you realize that there's a right way to do things. And the right way to do things is, frankly, getting to know the people that, or rather, whose product you're selling. So it's nice when you go out to California and meet some guy who's managing a $1.5 billion hotel portfolio.
Mm-hmm.
And you get to ask him, you know, are any of them failing? Do you plan on selling the portfolio? Do you uh, think that we have to do a lot of repairs on some of these hotels that are going to suck up the dividend that we owe our client?
Yeah.
Those little things, once you're in the mix, you get to ask, and you're looking at the CEO in the eye, you're asking the question,
Mm-hmm.
and you're getting the right answer. Sometimes when you're on your computer and you're picking stocks or bonds, you leave it to an analyst that you never meet, and that's okay. But you know, it could be time consuming. It could be disappointing if the analyst is wrong, and usually they are. You know, and we won't get into that. Once you're in the industry, you'll realize a lot of analysts are just wrong, and I'm more conservative in my approach to the market. I don't believe in the ups and downs of the market, and that's important to my client, or to the long term picture. Uh, we're not traders, we're investors. There's a big difference, and there's been mass confusion in the market, in the consumer market and the investor market, that says you have to look at a stock every second to see
Yeah.
where it's going, and that's just not true. And unfortunately, that's become the norm. But when you invest and you expect it to go up and down. And guess what? You ride out that storm. And in the long term, you'll be better off. Most of the time. Okay?
Okay.
So, and that's what I try to tell my clients and prospects when someone
Yeah.
asks me if I have a good stock tip. I said, I don't do that. I said, if you want that, go to Atlantic City or Las
Yeah.
Vegas, because you have just as many probabilities of getting the same return when you ask someone without me getting to know you.
Yeah.
If you're asking me a question like that, I want to know. Okay, well, a stock tip. Do you have $1 million? Do you have $100,000? What do you have? Right? Then we'll break it up. So sometimes the question is angled in a way that the response isn't a very fulfilling one.
Okay. I want to ask you, I I don't know how you manage the salary here. I guess that it is by commission, or
I'm
you
com-
correct me, or
I am
how is it?
commission and fee based only. The way it
Okay.
works, because I'm here in my home, I cover all my expenses. My payout is the highest in the industry. So a person that comes into my industry doing what I do, where I do it,
Mm-hmm.
gets paid anywhere from 80 to 98% of what they make in their commissions. As opposed to someone in a bank, you go to a bank, everybody's wearing a uniform except the guy that's selling you stocks and bonds
Mm-hmm.
through mutual funds. And I say through mutual funds because banks do not sell stocks and bonds; they sell mutual funds. So that person will get paid anywhere from 20 to 35%. Best case scenario, 40%. Maybe at Banco Santander, right? Bank Santander, which is making a big splash here in the
Yeah.
United States. It's one of the best banks in the world, from Madrid.
Okay.
Um, but that's called the retail end of the business, through the bank channel. And then you have the old wirehouses like Morgan Stanley and Merrill Lynch, they're called wirehouses, and they're what you would call the middle of the model as far as payout, right?
Yeah.
So going back to your question, going as far as salary is concerned,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of these bank financial advisors get paid a little salary versus commission. So they have to meet certain goals to get a certain percentage paid out at the end of the month.
Yes.
Sometimes they owe, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So it can be very stressful for someone who's trying to make a living with so many regulations, not only the bank regulations, but the securities regulation. Now you're dealing in a bank channel where you have FDIC compliance,
Yeah.
and you also have SIPC compliance, which is the securities industry,
Okay.
and it's just a lot of weight to carry. So you have to go in with a lot of money to be managed to be successful in the bank channel as a financial advisor. At the Merrill Lynch and Morgan Stanleys of the world, it's a little more independent. However, you're looking at payouts anywhere from maybe 30 to, I wouldn't say more than 54%. Okay, so what you see right here,
Yes.
I'm not wearing a suit and tie. I don't need to. If I go see a client, it depends on how I want to approach the client, whether I'm going to wear a suit and tie. Don't need to do that. However, we conduct ourselves very, very professionally in everything we do. But the payout in my industry, in this type of branch, is the highest.
That's great. You were talking about, well, about the education that you always have to take, like courses or
Yes,
certifications to
yes.
get currently.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the regulatory continuing education. So if you're licensed, let's say I hold a Series 7. I hold New Jersey, New York accident, life and health, and variable. So because I have those two licenses, it allows me to sell my clients annuities now and life insurance. So annuities are um, they're an insurance product. However, they're invested mostly in stocks and bonds through mutual funds. So because of that mix, that hybrid type of product, you have to be licensed in both industries. So I know people that claim that they're financial advisors, but they're only licensed to do life insurance products and annuities. So they're very limited as to what they could do with a client. And me, on the other hand, I hold various licenses which allow me to do just about every product that there is if I find the opportunity in the market. And I'll give you for an instance, right? If there's a wealthy, I don't know, 76-year-old gentleman who has acquired properties to the tune of $6, $7 million, but he
Yeah.
bought them back in the 60s when he was a much younger man and he wants to sell them now, there will be a major tax consequence from the time that he bought it based on a cost basis
Mhm.
to where he is now at 76 years old, pushing 80. Okay.
Yeah.
So they would come to me as a qualified intermediary where I would do a 1031 exchange. That means that they're under the IRS laws. There are it's a simultaneous sale and a purchase of real estate. So simultaneous, you would think has to be done right there and now. No, the law allows for 45 days. So there are a couple of things that you might see over there on the floor. Those are some products that I have
Mhm.
that I could actually sit down with the lawyers, sit down with the accountant, sit down with the client, and say, listen, this gentleman is 76 years old. He no longer wants to deal directly with management companies. He no longer wants those phone calls from tenants. He just wants to go down to Florida and retire and enjoy the rest of his life. So he would give me those proceeds, those, I don't know, $4 or $5 million, let's say.
Yeah.
And then I would put it in this product where he gets to defer those taxes. So right
Oh.
there and then, he's not getting taxed.
Yeah.
And if he does it right, that money could keep growing and growing and growing without it ever getting taxed. Right? We just keep
Okay.
pushing the tax event down the road year after year after year after year. So that money and that fortune just keep growing to benefit the beneficiaries, benefit the widow if he should die before the wife, the kids, the grandkids. It's very interesting. The Kennedy family here in the United States are very, very big on 1031 exchanges. Uh,
Yeah.
and God bless them. God bless them because they've managed to keep that wealth tight after so many generations and so many beneficiaries and so many heirs. Mind you, they've got so much family that it's not very abundant anymore, right?
Right.
But the legacy of Joe Kennedy, who set all that up back in the 1920s and 30s, is still alive today in 2017. Believe it or not. And it's this type of smart financial planning that I offer my clients, and that's why I tell you it's very rewarding. I'm very happy to see that my clients can pay a great grandchild's education if they do it right.
I realize there is a big field with a lot of regulations, like you always have to be educated. For me in this point, like I feel a little lost because I don't know, like if I want to start in this field, I don't know how to start, or if I need to get more certification, or that gets on the way, or
Well, let me stop you right there. The way you get into this industry, for instance, I would have to sponsor you,
Mhm.
and or you would have to apply to a bank, and they would start you off as perhaps a teller or a banker, um, what they call a personal banker, and then You have to go through all their, programs to maybe qualify by their standard to take a test to be a licensed banker. You wouldn't even
Oh,
be a financial advisor. You would just be a licensed banker. And they would more than likely license you with what we call the Series 6,
mm-hmm.
which limits you as to what you can sell. So if you want to become a financial advisor,
Yeah.
you can become a financial advisor. It's just whose door are you knocking on to get that sponsorship? If you knock on my door and say, Mr. Donoso, do you think you could help me out with that? I would gladly say yes. Let me open up a few doors for you. I would call up my office of supervisory jurisdiction, and then I would say, Keith, I have a young lady who's looking to get licensed. You would probably come in here to my office
Yeah.
and organize what I have here, answer the phone for me, um, call for me, set up appointments for me, observe what I do with my clients. I would take you to meetings with my clients, and you would be under my umbrella for a little bit. Now, I would also groom you or train you to go after a market that you think you might go after. That you could actually, I mean, if you speak Spanish, for instance,
Yeah.
and your extraction is Colombian, your parents are from Colombia, you were born in Colombia, and you're comfortable with that niche, then by all means go after that market. I know there's plenty of industrious business owners in the Colombian community,
Mm-hmm.
in the Latin American Hispanic community that's present here in the United States. If you're comfortable pitching in Spanish more than you are in English, by all means do. And it's important that you create your own market, because when you create your own market, you get to keep most of it, right?
Okay.
So, and that's how you would get in. So it depends on whose door you're knocking on to get sponsorship. That would open up that door for you to continue with this idea of becoming a financial advisor. Merrill Lynch, Morgan Stanley, very very good wirehouses that would probably take someone on like you,
Yeah.
that fits your profile, because they do like college. They don't hire someone typically without college. I hire anybody, frankly, that has a nice personality, is comfortable asking for um, items and things that normally people would shy away from. You have to be an extrovert for me to hire you. There's no other way. Now, mind you, in my years, I've sponsored a lot of young college kids that um, wanted to get into the industry, and I realized were not extroverts, but wanted to be analysts. And I said, sure, I'll sponsor them. Typically, 90% of the time, someone that does the hiring, they don't want the introvert, they want the extrovert. But I have a big heart. So, if you just want to get in, you want to be an analyst, and you want to be on Wall Street, I've opened up doors for many people. But I let them know, you have to try to at least make the effort
Mm-hmm.
to do the sales. Because even when you're an analyst, you have to sell your analysis.
That's true.
Other companies buy the analysis. So if you want to be the nerdy type behind a computer, not dealing with anyone, and just watching the activities of the last 20 quarters for a company to come up with some projection, God bless you. But at the end of the day, you still have to make a report, and you got to sell that to someone.
Yeah.
So it's important that you have a little sales acumen in you.
Okay. Do you think that I had something left, something important that I haven't asked you at this point?
Uh, no, you've covered a lot of ground. If I may, I'd like to ask you uh, what you envision a financial advisor to do. What do you think my job is? Did you have an idea before you met me?
Yeah, I have an idea, but I didn't think that was like so. complicated. Like I know that was complicated because it's a stressful field. I know that. I knew most of the things like you told me about what financial advisors do. For me, like I didn't think about the that you have to be good on sales. Like I didn't think in that, but it makes a lot of sense because it's the way that you move, like the make.
Absolutely, and that's important, and I hope that's not something for you to shy away from. Now that you know that, it's important that you learn that. And if you think that you want it to be a financial advisor, I would certainly recommend that you explore it. What's the worst someone can say to you? No. That's
Yeah.
the worst someone can say to you is no. And I think that someone that fits your profile would be very, very successful in this business. Matter of fact, I was in Boston about 2 years ago, and the seminar basically was women in this industry exploring the idea of becoming financial advisors. And we don't have enough women in this industry, unfortunately. And I think that
Oh, I didn't know that.
you are the future of this business. And the women that I've been fortunate enough to have as colleagues in this business are very, very successful. And I mean very, very successful. Who doesn't trust the daughter, the sister, the mother, right?
Oh,
All those are assets that you hold just for being a woman.
yeah.
And it's very important that you exploit that. Very important. And those are assets that you can exploit to your advantage to grow your practice, to build a clientele, and more importantly, to help people. Because that's what I do. I help people. There's nothing more rewarding than getting a phone call during Christmas or 2 weeks before Black Friday. Am I going to be able to take some money? I have my three grandchildren. I want to give them something.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It just warms my heart to know that I've been managing money for people that are 65 plus. That's my market.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and to get that phone call and that Christmas card, it's just very endearing. This is why I do what I do. And more importantly for you, you're a young immigrant woman, fresh to the United States.
Yeah.
You speak English. You can. The world is yours, and the market. Everybody is your prospective client, and I mean everybody, from the little kids that are in kindergarten because they need college education, and you talking to the mom and dad about setting up a college fund, to
Yeah.
the to the mom who's a single mommy, for whatever reason, didn't go well with the baby's dad, okay, and is a single mom, and needs life insurance, okay, because God forbid something should happen to her, right? Those are very, very important things that everybody needs. So everybody is your clientele, and if you look at it that way, you're going to be very, very successful. So I would certainly welcome you into this industry.
Okay. I was gonna to ask you like, do you think that it's difficult for me like being immigrant, as you say, fresh in United States? Like, it's gonna to be difficult to get close with the clients because.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Matter of fact, I think it's an advantage. I think it's an advantage. You're bringing things to the market that most people, even born in the United States, aren't. Yeah, you're going after a certain market. Here I am. I'm American born and bred. Okay. Um, I don't shy away from the Hispanic market. Matter of fact, I market to them. I happen to speak Spanish, so I market to them. But most of my colleagues that are either Anglo or just English speaking don't, and they don't know what they're missing. It's an open
Mm,
market, and it's one of the fastest growing markets in the United States. And if you know anything about Hispanic marketing and demographics, they are very, very, I like to call sticky people, right? Very warm. You go to a mall, it's the mom, the dad, the grandmother, the aunt, and the four children, the cousins. They all go to the mall together. It's an outing. It's a
yeah.
very tight knit community. and not all Latin Americans across the board, but uh, the mass amount of new immigrants that have come to this country are. And that's something that, as an idiosyncrasy, you could probably tap into and have an affinity with. It's very important to have an affinity with your clients. And because of that, that market is all yours. You can keep it, you can grow it, and people are going to be very, very thankful that you did.
That's good. For me, I think that I have all the information that I want. Thank you very much for your time. I'm really pleased to have this time with you. I'm gonna work in this project and in my future as well. So thank you.
It was certainly my pleasure. You're very welcome.